We are live. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host Ian.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
Nope, not at
Nope.
all. Once again, we are following the CDC recommendations for helping flatten the COVID curve, so to speak. So we are all once again coming right from our homes instead of the Crit Academy studios. So we apologize if the quality of the audio isn't up to what you have come to expect from us. We are going to be discussing the Kanto Pokemon Monster Manual by Timothy Gonzalez. You can find him over at pirategonzalezgames.com. So I guess my question is do you want to be the very best?
Like no one ever was.
To catch them all, is that your real test?
Is training them your cause?
We travel across the land.
Searching far and wide.
Use this guide to understand the power that's inside Pokemon.
Pokemon!
Our
That
fucking
was
dorks.
really cringy.
I know.
But we did it, so here we are.
I was worried I was gonna bust out laughing before we got to that part.
Me
Oh
too.
man, so I am really excited for this. I've got this bad boy opened. Basically what he has done, and we can include the link to this product in the it's in our show notes. Once again, you can find that at critacademy.com and just scroll down till you find the Kanto Pokedex blog. I went ahead and included it in our Twitch stream so you can follow along. Maybe in Twitch, tell us, in Facebook and YouTube, tell us what's your favorite Pokemon. So there's a lot. This is basically a fifth edition conversion of the 151 original Pokemon into Dungeons and Dragons as monsters. And we each have picked some of our own favorites. But before we get into that, right away, what are your guys' overall thoughts with this? I personally am a big Pokemon fan, so I was really excited.
I mean, I like it a lot. I'm surprised at how fleshed out it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And the some of the things you can find on here, like I like how, for instance, Charizard, he can fly. Thank you, please. For the love of God, thank you.
Little
Or
things
like,
like that, huh?
yeah, just like little things like that, specifically like that. Or like how like he has Fire Blast, and like yeah, that's iconic, right? When
Right.
you think Charizard, you think Fire Blast.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
What about you,
And
Ian?
the guys who made this, they clearly put a lot of work into it. I mean, sure, there's a few things here and there I would have liked to have seen differently, or one or two features added to one or two monsters, like
Right.
the Scyther, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Especially if you're watching anime.
Scyther. Um.
But other than that, though,
Yeah, I agree. A lot of work clearly went into this. I like, once again, kind of talking about or repeating what Ian or Austin said about, you can tell they went through a lot of trouble to make it feel iconic by including those abilities that are popular among those characters or those Pokemon,
Hmm.
which is really a big sell for me because it makes you feel like it's right out of one of the old video games or new video games, I guess, if you're playing the new shit. So we've each kind of went through and picked some of our own. So Austin, why don't you tell us about one of the ones you picked?
I'm gonna start off with I think he's number 150 himself, Mewtwo. Because this thing is a behemoth. uh, it is a challenge rating 23 just to start off, so this thing can tango with the likes of like Zariel. Don't know
Right.
why, but hey, why not? I'm in it. Um, right off the bat, this thing has a movement speed of 30, but has a flying speed of 60, which kind of makes sense. This Mewtwo is kind of known to fly around, zip around. Um,
Walking is for the weak.
Pretty much, yeah. Weirdly, has telepathy for 120 feet, which isn't the weird part. It can understand common but not speak it. I think he can speak,
He speaks in their mind, doesn't he?
but think he can like legitimately talk. I think
Oh,
maybe he just
yeah.
chooses not to.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Um,
That's a
but
very subtle thing I wouldn't have caught.
uh, it's usually like when he's like taking damage, he outwardly like screams. So he does understand human language and can use it. It's just he chooses not to. So it's not that he can't speak; he just chooses
Yeah,
not
who
to.
wants to be mundane like everybody else?
Which I mean, again, it makes sense. It's right up his alley. He has recover. It just kind of happens. He just recovers 10 hit points at the start of his turn, no matter what. Kind of crazy.
That's pretty
And-
cool. Now, if you consider he has 300 hit points already. So that in of itself
yeah.
is nothing super remarkable, but the fact that he just regains 10 every round is
hmm
pretty fantastic and fits with that
I
theme.
I love Premonition. It's the Pokemon adds its Wisdom modifier to its AC. Makes sense. It's right up again Mewtwo's alley. So instead of him sticking with this low dexterity of 14, he would normally have a 12 AC. Well, now he finally found a way to give it a cool name and bump it up to a 19 AC. So I thought that was really cool.
That is really
Um,
cool.
Obviously the big move, Psychic. It's a recharge 5 or 6. Does big wave of psychic energy, and each creature within 60 feet. God, that's far.
Yeah.
Must make a DC 24 Wisdom saving throw, taking 77 psychic damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful.
Ow.
Yeah, very
Ow.
painful. I'm surprised there's no movement on top of it, like he's like shoving somebody like 30 feet or something on
See,
top of it.
yeah, like when he does like the energy blast like outwards and
Yeah,
shit.
he
Yeah.
does a lot of telekinesis, so I'm surprised there's no use of it. He also
Right.
has no shadow ball, which I thought was a little weird, but again, there's
Can't
already
get them
so
all.
much
Yeah.
in here. Yeah. He has a ranged attack and a melee attack. They're the same as far as I'm. Oh, Psy Strike is psychic damage, whereas Psycho Cut is force damage. Okay, that's what the difference is. Turns out.
Right.
um, One's force, one's psychic. The psychic one is ranged. The force one's melee.
Yes.
Uh,
I
does get a
imagine him just
reaction,
like whipping his tail and like a big slash of energy coming out of it.
right? Does have essentially what is it, like riposte? Is that what that normally? No, parry. He has like a parry where he adds 7 AC against one melee attack. That would hit. Oh god, that's high. 26 AC every single time you have to fight him. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's funny. It's essentially yeah, that's essentially like a permanent
Yeah.
sh- enhanced shield.
Yes.
Oh
I
God.
Why I don't know, but again, 23 challenge rating.
Yeah,
Keep
it
that out
probably
there
could
real
it has
quick.
something to do with the fact that I would say his HP is kind relatively not as high as I would expect it
For
to be.
right. And then he does get legendary actions, which is disable. He can attack on your turn. Why not? And he can teleport up to 100 feet. So he does get that as well. A lot of crazy stuff. Also, does disabled not? Ah,
Read
okay.
disabled. Disabled as a legendary action. And actually he's got a couple legendary actions, but the disabled's very interesting.
One creature that the Pokemon can see within 100 feet must succeed a DC 24 Wisdom saving throw, similar to Psychic, or be unable to make attacks or cast spells, Mewtwo's choice, for 1 minute. The creature can repeat the save at the end of each of its turn to end this effect. That's rough if you're a fighter. uh, because you're going to be sitting there like, I hope my Indomitable kicks in and I actually push through this. Because, wow,
Well,
DC 24 is
not being able to
high.
cast spells is shitty too. It doesn't matter who you are. That
Yeah,
sucks.
and it's not like it costs 2 of his legendary actions. This is just 1 on top of, 3 that he can do.
Which means he can basically do it 3 times around.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of, he can just null an entire party just like that. I mean, my paladin, surprisingly, Zorax would he'd be able to tussle with it, given that his absurd wisdom saving throw. But Still pretty
Now,
tough.
I want to put his HP in perspective, because some
Okay.
people may not know. So the
Because
Tara-
I don't know that as much.
the
So I'm
Tarask
interested.
at level challenge rating 30 has 676. That's at CR 30. So if we look at like let's say a dragon at, oh, I don't know, an ancient brass dragon CR 20.
That's
Um,
close.
a challenge rating 20 has about 290 hit points for a brass dragon. So his hit points does line up with like ancient dragon level monsters. Putting his AC with that deflect though, man. Oh god.
Yeah, 26 is big.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I mean, you're expecting to have a party and it's only going to do on one of those attacks, right? Ideally. And if you're a high level fighter, you
Yeah.
probably have 3 or 4 attacks anyway.
Right.
So I guess I kind of see
That's
it,
a good point.
but that's still that one attack's not going to hit. I
Yeah.
probably not unless it's a crit, which I mean, if you're a champion fighter, you get crits every 3 attacks, so who cares?
Right, right. What do you think about Mewtwo in this context there, Ian?
He's a beast.
Yeah, he is. This thing can tussle with the Tarask, probably.
His intelligence is a 28. Jeez. That's insane. Um, overall,
I don't think anything has 30 intelligence. Not that I'm aware of anyway.
yeah. Overall, I love the flavor of this. As a DM, I would love running something like this. All the psychic energy bouncing around. Now, you mentioned something I think that isn't included, but I think I would include myself. You talked about the telekinesis. I wouldn't
Yes.
necessarily have it affect that he does, but during the battle, I would have shit randomly levitating, stuff
Ooh, like a
getting
layer
blown
action,
around.
maybe?
Well, maybe, but it wouldn't even
Okay.
necessarily be something that would hurt the players. But every round I would describe as he does this psychic nice. You see you take this big blast and you see a scrape of energy across the room as it cuts into the wall and chairs go flying or something like that to really constantly remind the players that he controls almost everything with his mind and everything
It's
that's going
his
on.
domain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Especially with that true sight of 120 feet. Good luck running.
jeez.
You're not getting away from him.
Yeah, true sight plus flying 60 feet plus teleporting 100 feet. Whew.
You can't run from this
This is
thing.
terrifying.
Yeah. Oh no,
Um,
Pokemon can use telekinesis as a bonus action at will. Never mind, he can just use telekinesis at will.
Where is that at?
Genetic Pokemon under safeguard.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Which also means he's immune to status conditions. You can't grapple him, I think. Literally.
Wow.
All right.
All right. Ian, why don't you tell us about one of the Pokemon you picked?
Well,
Boo.
I ended up choosing all 3 Pokemon in the evolution chain for Machop, Machoke, and Machop.
You know what? I was not surprised when I saw that you picked this. I was just thinking, he loves his barbarians. Of course he's going to pick the muscle-bound brute in this.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that I like the progression they made between all 3 stages too.
Well, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah,
The different
I'm
features and the
interested.
progression. I want to hear it.
Well, the first one is Machop. He's not very tough, which makes sense. He's the first stage. He's only a CR1 creature.
Mm-hmm.
AC 12, 32 hit points.
20 strength.
20 strength.
CR1, 20 strength. Fucking ready to bulldoze somebody.
And he's tireless, and he's immune to exhaustion and fatigue.
I love
Ooh,
it.
That's cool. That's
And
really
he
good.
just has his one attack though, Karate Chop. This is
Woo!
a basic melee attack, 1d6.
It's not bad.
But then he evolves into Machoke, who then becomes a CR4. If he goes up, his HP shoots way up from 32 to 127.
Oh, jeez.
For a CR4, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And he
I'm
also
not
gets
sure.
multi-attack, which lets him use Karate Chop twice, which is, of course, stronger than his previous version.
Okay. So does he get multi-attack or anything?
Yep.
That is his
Twice.
Oh, okay. So he gets karate chop. He can do twice. Okay.
And he also gets
Oh.
Focus, which allows the next attack he makes be a critical hit.
Oh shit.
Also, he can grapple them with the
Yep.
karate chop.
And he
Oh,
also gains Seismic Toss, where any we can throw a target he's grappled up to 60 feet away, dealing 8d8 bludgeoning damage to it. And he also may attempt to throw the target at another creature, making a range attack with a plus 12 bonus. And
I love it.
on a successful attack, both creatures take half the damage.
I love it. That's dope. I like it a lot.
Extremely not least is Machop, the four-armed version of Machop, who jumps up to CR 12 from CR 4.
Damn.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
HP is now 209.
That's fairly high for 12.
Strength
I
is
think.
34.
Whew.
Strength is 34. Oh, wait a minute.
You get 34 strength, and you get 34 strength.
I don't think I've ever seen something with higher than 30 anything.
Now, the part that kind of struck me as interesting with Machop is it lists on it having a damage vulnerability to psychic damage, which is something the other two don't have.
Well, maybe he just got stupider as he got. Maybe they had to offset his strength. Maybe that's the difference.
Yeah. But still immune
Maybe.
to exhaustion and fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And his multi-attack can now do up to 4 karate chops, or 2 between seismic toss and submission. We'll get into that. And obviously his karate chop now beats that with before. It can still grapple on attack. Seismic toss, same thing as before, just a little bit more dice tossed in there. Now 14d8.
Oh, and I can throw him 100 feet this time.
That too. And submission. One creature that the Pokemon has grappled must make a DC 24 strength saving throw. And taking 14d8 bludgeoning damage if they fail, and a level of exhaustion. Or half as much damage on a successful save.
Level of exhaustion?
Yep.
Oh!
Have you seen that as a monster feature before?
I have not. That sounds so cool though and brutal.
Okay, so let's wrap our heads around this. So
yeah.
Let's first. I want to talk about the focus that he had, but he lost the focus. Right, the original focus gives you an automatic crit, but takes away. You basically have to do it in advance, right? You're psyching yourself up. I think that is a fantastic ability, and I think is really cool from a flavor standpoint, because I very much can see him Dragon Ball Z and then running and pummeling people. But what's really cool is that their karate chop actually allows for a grapple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit them with it, their target is grappled. So now submission doesn't require an attack roll to hit. It just does it as long as they're grappled.
Saving throw.
Have you guys ever seen the old Mortal Kombat? Where Goro picks people up with his bottom 2 hands and then just beats the crap out of them with the top 2? That's totally what I'm envisioning right here.
I love the flow of it, honestly. And I love how he doesn't have focus when he's Machamp, because I imagine, like, how I envision it is he doesn't need it anymore. He's at his pinnacle, right?
Right.
So he's at the peak, and now he's got 4 arms, he's making 4 karate chops. So, like, you're getting boned, dude. I don't know, man. Like, he's immune to exhaustion, but he'll make you exhausted because he puts you in a submission. This dude, I just want to point this out. This guy right here can make someone die by exhaustion.
Yep.
He can submission them to death without doing hit points. So if you had some weird level of invulnerability where you can't take damage, well, you're probably still going to suffer exhaustion, right? You just have to break free from the struggle, and you can die while being invincible. Oh, that's great.
That's glorious. This was an absolutely fantastic choice there, Ian.
That was good.
I love the flavor. Don't be surprised if this monster doesn't show up at some point.
I'd be okay with it.
I may not call him a champ, but I love every bit of these features.
I just love big guys just beat the fuck out of things, and this is right up that alley.
Right.
Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole. So the thing that I think, if I can make one change to this, I mean, and it's not super huge, but I would have liked to have seen, well, no, maybe that's more for Golem. I was thinking having Rock Toss or is it mudslide or something like that, where they like beat the
Yeah.
ground and creates like a shockwave or something. But
You can do like
I
earthquake.
think yeah,
But his challenge rating's not necessarily super. He's already got really good stuff
Rock
for where
Tomb.
he's at.
Thank you, old handy.
Rock Tomb.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I mean he's pretty good already,
Yeah.
I think. So I mean, I don't know.
Absolutely. I think this was a great choice, and I think that they did a really good job. Now, it's funny that this was one of the second ones we talked about, because we talked about a high level one, and now this one at its third level has a CR 12. I do want to say that I did notice that I felt that some of the third tier ability or forms were a kind of weak. And originally I thought maybe that had something to do with trying to keep it lower level so it's easier to balance or
Mhm.
something. But some of them are like CR like 4. I think we were talking about Arcanine earlier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that so far is really the only dig that I have at this product. So Old Handy has an actual interesting question. He's curious how self-destruct works. So if one of you would look that up while I make my way to my Pokemon, and we'll answer that question in a short bit. What do you guys think?
Sure.
So if somebody can find a Pokemon with that, like Electrode or Voltorb or something.
They don't have it.
They don't have it?
They,
Okay,
they
good.
well, I know full
Well, oh wait, that one did. Never mind.
There it is. Right here. So self-destruct. When the Pokemon dies or is knocked unconscious, which is completely different, it explodes. And each creature within 5 feet of it must make a DC 11 Dexterity saving throw, taking 7 2d6 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Mind you, this is Voltorb, not Electrode. Electrode, on the other hand, has Explosion, which is obviously the more devastating self-destruct. And Explosion is basically a point blank fireball. It is just all creatures within 20 feet must make a DC 12 dexterity saving throw, 27 or 68 fire damage on a failed save, or half on a successful one. The Pokemon is reduced to 0 hit points.
It's essentially just a
It's
fireball
just
spell.
fireball. Yeah.
But I do like that it triggers when he's knocked unconscious. It's not something they have to actively do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's punishment for any player that's in the melee or even close range when they finish him off. Could you imagine there being like 3 or 4 of these surrounding the players, and some fireball and wizard's like, I'm gonna blow you bitches up, blows them up, and then they all explode and kill the whole party?
Right. It's pretty good. I mean, I like it. It's
um,
not super high level either. It's just like
Yeah,
a
and that you're gonna see that with the ones that I picked. There's a lot of them actually aren't as high as some of the other ones. Like the legendary birds are all like 20, I think. But that area between the level 12 and 20 is very thin. And I don't know if that's just because he wasn't aware of the distribution of like a normal monster manual or something like that. But that's
mm.
also the levels you play at less. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, Gengar's only challenge rating 5. That's that's kind
Yeah.
of weird.
So I actually picked the Ghastly trio. I absolutely love uh
Oh yeah,
the
dude.
ghost Pokemons in my games. Next to Arcanine, they're the ones that I relied on the most, and then of course between I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about this first, so we're gonna start with Ghastly, who's half a challenge rating,
Mm-hmm.
0 move speed, but has a fly speed of 30 feet and hovers, which I think is fantastic. And of course, it has damage resistance, plenty of damage resistances, vulnerability to radiant, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Um, it is got the incorporeal movement and all that jazz. One of its cool features called engulf, which basically means it can share a space with another creature, and when it starts its turn there, the creature must succeed a con save or take poison damage. That's
I like
fantastic.
that. I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, that's
basically you're
cool.
being choked by his ghostly form, I guess.
I like it.
um, the other thing is wind susceptibility. Since it's mostly gas, strong winds can disperse it. It just blows away.
I mean, I guess. Okay.
um, and I thought that was kind of a nice little subtle jab at the fact that it's made of smoke and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
obviously is a weakness, right?
Right.
But it's a minor one. So what abilities does it have? It has its most famous one called Lick. It's basically it's a melee range attack that has a chance to paralyze the target if they fail a constitution save. That's literally what the ability can do. Has a chance to paralyze people. That's what it does in the
Yeah.
game, if I remember right, too.
Yeah. Fairly high chance too, if I remember correctly too.
Anybody that has listened to the episode of shit. I was on a show and I'm completely drawing a blank. When I play my Venom character, I always go out of my way to describe the tongue lashing about and sliding up people's neck and faces and stuff to gross people out. I would totally be having too much fun with this thing if I was running it as a monster. So once it's evolved, becomes a haunter. It's now a challenge rating 3. No real changes in the majority of like its basic vulnerabilities and stuff, but it does gain the intimidate skill at a +5, which is really cool.
I like it.
It still maintains the wind susceptibility in the lick, but it gets 2 new abilities. The first one being Nightshade. One creature within 60 feet that it can see has to make a wisdom saving throw or take 48 psychic damage on a failed or half as much on a successful. It's basically just a psychic attack. Which once again, now it went from just having a basic lick melee attack to now having range, which gives it a little more versatility, and it can still fly. So, F you melee guys, I'm floating in the sky and I'm just gonna nightshade the shit out of you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But it has another ability called Hypnosis that recharges on a 5 or 6. Once again, an iconic Haunter Gengar ability. Creature must make a charisma saving throw or fall asleep for 1 minute. On a failed save, the creature can repeat at the end of every round. This can potentially incapacitate a group because a minute is a really, really long time. Either for him to whip your ass or him to get away or minions to do the job for you. Because even if you got a party of 5, one lick dropping out one party member is going to really, or one hypnosis is going to really make an issue. It's either going to cause action economy issues with the party, or they're going to drag the guy away and eat him later. Is what my monsters usually do. And then, of course, he has his final form. Or is it? The Gengar, which brings him up to a challenge rating 5. Now, this is where I was talking about where I felt like the third tier evolutions weren't as evenly matched as they probably should have been. And the example with Machop was a good example, or Machamp, because we went from, what was it, like a 3 to a 12 or something like that.
2 to 4 to 12.
Yeah, so that shows just how inconsistent it was. Now, I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe a distribution of CRs, but it seems kind of one-sided to me. That being said, not a huge thing, just a minor thing. So Gengar has all the other, it loses a couple of the different abilities. It has the incorporeal movement and gains a new one called Shadow Stealth. And in Dim Light and Darkness, he can hide as a bonus action.
He also has grounded move speed.
Yes, 30
feet.
He's actually slower than Haunter and
he can still fly.
Yeah,
still
but he's
same,
slower.
30 feet.
Oh, is it 30? Oh, I thought it was 40
it's all
previously. Yeah, you're right. So he can wobble around like the Kool-Aid man. But he gets a bonus action on top of his Hypnosis and his Nightshade, which is called Dream Eater. One sleeping target takes 4d8 psychic damage. Once again, bonus action, no save. You're already asleep. You're boned. And the Gengar recovers that many hit points that he consumes.
That's
my god,
really good.
Yes, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic and really was dope.
Very Gengar.
Yes.
Where you want to get them asleep and then you just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah,
really.
Dude, it's freaking like, I would be describing a scene like something out of Freddy Krueger. Like you're dashing through the doors and every single one's locked and all you can hear is this haunting cackle coming from around you, echoing off the things until it jumps out and devours your arm or something. Because with Dream Eater, that's something that you can get very loose with the things you can't normally do, like chopping off limbs, because it's just a dream, right?
It's just a dream, yeah.
Oh, boom. off your leg. You're crawling away to escape this giant ball mouth. That's basically what it is. It's a mouth with legs.
You know, in reality, that'd be terrifying.
I know, right?
Like we say, like, oh, it looks so cute. Look, it's all purple and fuzzy looking, but like in reality, this thing could eat my door. Like, come on, man.
For sure,
dude.
So what do
It's
you think about this, Ian?
Man,
There's definitely interesting progression there. No question about that.
yeah, I would have loved to see this as a higher level.
Yeah, I agree. But scaling is something we can do easily, I guess.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely something that can be said for a lot of these creatures. But at the same time, and I wish people had more features than what they currently had. But
yeah,
once again, though, there's still a lot of good work, and if you want to make additions to them, you can build off them, no problem. So whatever.
right.
Yes, for sure.
This is definitely great groundwork at the very least.
Yeah, and like I said, this was that was just a small nitpicky thing. Wasn't a super big thing. It was just an observation that I had made during my reviewing of the product, because that happens a lot. Like, for example, the Charizard is known to be a powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
He's a monster. He's a CR12. Okay, that's not terrible, but that's not like a powerhouse. You know what I mean?
If you look at like actual dragons we have here, you know, they're like CR20.
Right.
But yeah, I can agree to that.
I do love the fact that Weedle and Metapod at least get tackle.
That's good.
Sure, it does 1 damage, but at least it's something.
It could just be like, and you just kind of look at like, ow, what? Why?
Can we talk for a second about Harden? Because in the game, Harden makes their defense go up and that lowers damage. In this one, it adds to the AC against 1 melee attack that would hit it.
1 melee.
Yeah, to me, that makes it less interesting. I would say that every time you use it, maybe having the AC go up, like by 1 indefinitely.
That's what I thought it would do. Yeah. But okay, you know. Again, something you can just change if you don't agree with it.
So did you have another monster picked out there, Austin? I thought you did.
I did. I have 2. One of which was Arcanine, which was previously mentioned.
Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, let's talk about Arcanine. There it is. So Arcanine is surprisingly only because Growlithe is a challenge rating 1/4 and Arcanine is a challenge rating 3. Now I don't know if any of you have ever used Arcanine before, but Arcanine's stats are dumb. Like actually.
They're very powerful. I think in the original he was meant to be some sort of legendary Pokemon, and that's why his stats were mechanically so high.
Yeah, like he in the Pokedex is called like, because usually they have like it is a rat Pokemon. This one is just literally stated legendary. I don't know if it was a mistranslation or something, but that's what it was just called, so everyone just rolled with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does have keen hearing and smell, so anything that involves like wisdom perception checks that rely on smell or hearing, it has advantage on. Cool. You know, big old dog styled monster. Why not? Resistant to fire. Fair. I mean,
I think it should be immune to fire personally, but
I could say
fire damage though. So
what's that?
But fire types can still take fire damage. So
yeah. So I mean, that makes
it's just
sense.
not very effective.
Yeah. I do like that. I would probably change this, not say it's extreme speed, but it says extreme speed, which is the Pokemon can move up to its speed and make a tackle attack, which, I mean, can't any monster move up to its speed and just make an attack? I'm not super sure.
That's an action, so he can move up to his speed and then move up to his speed again and still attack. So basically, he can take the dash action, basically, and
it's
still make an attack.
Essentially the dash. Okay.
That's the way I'm seeing it.
Because that's 100 feet then. That's far. He's coming. And you can't run from it either because it'll smell and hear you. But it does have Fire Fang, which is a melee weapon attack. Pretty basic to some extent, but surprisingly it does some damage.
Let's talk about how there's a reference to reflex saves, which is not a thing in 5th edition. That should be a dexterity saving throw.
Where does it say that? Oh, right there, reflex saving throw. That's funny. It does decent fire and piercing damage. Not bad. Reflex saving
It
throw.
lights them on
14.
fire, so they got to make a save to end it, which
Oh,
is cool.
I do like that. I do.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm personally a huge fan of like DOT effects.
Yes.
I don't feel like it's integrated enough in 5e. Which surprisingly.
Well, I think that was because they really tried hard to get rid of all the extra counting that happens. And when one person dots something and another person dots something and the third person dots
Yeah,
somebody.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think they were just trying to get rid of that, though that does start to show up occasionally.
Mm-hmm. And it does have roar, so each non-deafened creature in the Pokemon's choice that is within 100 feet of the Pokemon can hear it, must make a DC 12 Wisdom saving throw or become frightened for a minute. It can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. And of course, once it does that, it does succeed, it is good for 24 hours. So
That's awesome. I love that.
yeah, it's fun. Big. It is apparently a large monster as well. So this is a big thing, and it roars at you. I'm gonna be a little frightened, but again, surprisingly kind of weak. I would like to see it. Maybe not necessarily a challenge rating 3, but again, we've said it before. You can kind of scale these things anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
I do find it interesting. It lost Ember, but I'm starting to notice that I don't think any of the Pokemons have more than 4 abilities. At least most of them.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Is that why they're losing him? Because he's sticking to that? I'd have to check more to confirm.
Actually,
I know
yeah,
the legend. I know Mewtwo had more, but
well, Mewtwo had more, yeah. But like, I'm kind of scrolling through. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing no more than 4 on every single one of the. Oh wait, no, yeah, that's 4. Yeah.
Oh, so that's an interesting nod to the game. If that was intentional or a happy accident.
I mean, I like it. I'm down. That's cool. As my final one, because I know we all did 3, technically. My final one was Golem, because big rock man. It's cool. He has a damage immunity to lightning. I thought that was nice, because rock types are immune to lightning.
Nope. Ground types are immune to lightning. Rock types are not.
Look at that.
So,
dun dun dun.
Ground types?
I think. Yep. Yeah. Well, maybe they're just considering that ground. Well, is it a ground and rock type?
Yep. Most rock types are also ground type.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense then.
Clearly, Ian knows the game better than us.
Apparently.
I just played the crap ton of the original red and blue and yellow.
But it does have false appearance, which I thought was hilarious.
Looks like a rock.
If it's sitting still, it's just rocked. I thought that was beautiful. It's pretty much why I chose this one, was just for that ability alone. I was like, that is so great. I like it. It is sturdy, so if it damage reduces the Pokemon to 0 hit points, it must make a con save. 5 plus the damage taken, unless damage is from fire or from a critical hit. On a success, the Pokemon drops to 1 hit point instead.
Oh, that's cool. It's basically the what is the one the half orc has? It's something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Yes, thank you.
Which for some reason a full-blooded orc does not have. Figure that one out.
Been trying to figure it out since the first 10 times you said.
It does have rollout, which is kind of like its signature thing. It kind of just turns into a boulder and starts rolling after you.
I love how they did the mechanic of rollout. Basically, it increases with damage for every 10 feet it moves before it does the attack.
It's quite literally a boulder coming after you.
Yes, that's
go
fantastic.
Figure. Could you imagine this as like a trap though? As like in
It's Indiana Jones, except at the end he unlocks and rolls and then like grapples and punches a bit.
And it just starts beating you up. That'd be cool. And then it gets the parry effect too, which is kind of strange. I mean, it already has 19 AC. Why would you want to add another 4 to it for 1 attack per round? Beats me, but all right. Sure.
I guess that's supposed to represent he's hard to hit. I mean, without giving him a permanently really, really high AC.
Mm-hmm.
So balance mechanic?
Well, perhaps. Maybe. I like it. Simple.
Yeah,
big,
I love it.
Tough. I like it a lot.
Honestly, the next rolling boulder you guys run after is probably going to be this.
It's going to be a golem just running after us.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Like, oh man, we dodged the trap, guys. Oh man, And then you guys look around, you see it's sprouting arms and legs, and it has a head, and it looks at you. You're just like, oh, what's this?
It's 20 feet too, so.
That's funny. Overall, this is a really neat idea, a fantastic product. I'm really glad we enjoyed it. I do want to let everyone know that while we covered the Kanto Pokedex, there's actually a Johto and a Hoenn one as well. Which includes some of those newer Pokemon. I'm old and I'm a classic and I only care for the originals. Even in the new games I play, I try to get a team of only the originals because I'm a scrub like that. But it's very cool. I really had a blast for this. Aside from kind of the stuff we harked on already, was there anything else that you found as sort of a con to this product or to
I'm
this
actually amazed
resource?
there's no documentation here for like leveling them up.
Yeah, actually. Well, and I think maybe that's just because they're monsters. But yeah, you think there would be something
Right.
with it if you want it. Because I totally can see myself saying, all right, everyone, we're playing Pokemon and everyone's a Beastmaster Ranger. And no spell slots. No spells. You get to pick a Pokemon. Here's your choices. Let's go. You don't level up, your Pokemon do. Oh my gosh, that's so weird. It'd be interesting to try, for sure.
Yeah.
I
Just D&D mechanics.
Yeah,
of
I think
Pokemon.
it would be really, really interesting. Oh, excuse me. Getting tired. Getting my bedtime. Was there anything else? I kind of wanted to touch on the legendary birds for a minute too. Did you guys get a
Okay.
chance to check these bad boys out?
Yep.
I looked at Zapdos briefly. I saw one of its legendary actions was called Roost, and it literally just gains back 40 hit points on your turn.
Yep.
Cool.
All of the mechanics are very flavorful for each one of the Articuno, the Moltres, and the Zapdos. Some of them are similar. They're CR22, but they are very, very. Their abilities are right on par with what you would expect of the legendary birds. So.
And like how they snuck in the logos from Pokemon Go in there too for them.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, these things look tough as hell to beat up. Jeez.
Right. They all have legendary actions of varying types, whether it's freeze dry.
Yeah.
The roost is really cool. You mentioned that the ability to just fly away and heal real quick is pretty dope.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you don't ground them, they can get away easy with flyby.
And 60 feet of flying too per round. Ugh.
They're gonna get away.
Good luck.
On top of their other abilities.
What's that?
On top of their other abilities.
Oh yeah, and they got a lot. Like I said, there's a. I don't want to get too much. They each do have an aura, which I think is cool. That's does damage for their element, which is perfect. Makes sense.
I love it. Yeah, it's their element. They're kind of around, and you kind of like. Moltres is quite literally on fire. I mean, there's no escaping it. So I like it.
Alrighty, I think that'll do it for our main topic, the Kanto Pokedex Monster Manual. Once again, this is by Tim Gonzalez over at PirateGonzalezGames.com. You can head on over to CritAcademy.com and there's a link right in our show notes in our blog area, so check that out. Before we move to our Unearthed tips and tricks, we have another gift to give away. Ian, would you like to tell us about it?
Why, certainly. Our giveaway is Villains and Layers number 2 by Jeff Stevens. Revolutionize your game with this collection of 28 villainous NPCs, from small fry to world enders, 8 of which include maps and details of their layers. And there's also plenty of sinister side quests, terrifying overlords, bounties, one-shot, and much, much more lies in wait for you inside.
Love it. It's very good. Who is our winner today?
Zahan won.
Woo! I just caught wind of this. Old Handy in the chat says, no spell slots, but 6 Pokeball max. Love it.
There you go.
Congratulations, Zahan won. If you enjoy the product, please leave Jeff Stevens a review and tell him Crit Academy sent you. If you didn't win, have no fear. Crit Academy is here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Jeff Jeff Stevens. I almost gave the old one. To get Villains and Layers 3 for free. All right. Now, what you've all been waiting for, our Unearthed tips and tricks, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs. Our character concept today is brought to us by Ian, called the Monster Breeder.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you tell us about this Monster Breeder character concept?
Yes, sir. I can tell you anything you want to know about Megagarp. They taste disgusting, but they can breed like none other. Lots of protein too. To ordinary person, they smell like olive oil left in the sun for about a month. Taste ain't much better, but you know where to get them when you're purchasing their meat. A cook that knows their way around the seasoning, though, might make it taste somewhat respectable. And there's about 1,000 eggs per batch for the females in mating season. You need eggs too for caviar. And it's up real fast. And every now and then you gotta be careful because you get one of them about two them Gyarados, and let me tell you, you ain't got no creature more tough than them bell-tempered. Gotta put them down right and quick before they figure out their abilities. See, before you get some bodily harm inflicted on your person, know what I mean? May not be the best life, but it'll be honest work, and there always be something to be said about that.
Oh my gosh, you crack me up, man.
I know we didn't cover Gyarados, but I did look at it, and it's tough.
Yeah,
It's a
I
big
was
dude.
actually looking for it really quick.
I was actually surprised they didn't give it a Hyper Beam, but Dragon Rage still disgusting.
Yeah, it's still.
What CR was it? In the 20s, wasn't it? Or 19 or something?
I want to say it was 22.
Yeah, Gyarados is pretty savage.
And
Gyarados is actually savage.
I'm gonna look for him.
I love this character concept you brought, Ian. It fit the theme. A knowledgeable person who in their spare time is breeding monsters.
Yep.
I think that makes for a very great Beastmaster Ranger, or maybe a wizard or a scholar or something like that. Can I just say, you guys, his accent is literally typed out in the show notes, and it is
Yeah,
hilarious.
It was great to kind of just try and follow through. Be like, oh my goodness.
Okay, a Megacarp is a challenge 0 creature. But Gyarados is a 22.
Oh,
Hey, Gyarados.
I love it.
Almost as strong as the legendary birds.
And the sucker has 340 hit points.
Jeez.
That's
Let him
not
get
okay.
wrecked. What do you think about this character concept that Ian brought there, Austin? This
I can't
monster
get it.
breeder.
Why? Why?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, there, right there, Ian. That's pretty good. I'm really enjoyed it. It makes me want to breed my own monsters. Let me tell you, I'm gonna capture me a Ditto. I'm gonna get me a Pikachu. I'm gonna make a whole farm of lightning rats, and I'm gonna get a whole bunch of them to power up my generator.
Oh my gosh, dude! You guys, can you imagine? We talked about those summoning spells and summon like the conjure woodland beings and stuff. What if when you played a character with this backstory and you took the spells for conjure woodland critters and stuff like that, and it's just you summoning the shit you've been breeding?
Oh man, I summoned me and then, oh boy, that's not a good one. That's
Know what I mean?
gonna have to put that one back to the ranch.
You summon. What is the one that summons pixies? That you can summon pixies.
Oh,
You have all these little pixies running around. You mate pixies. Yeah, I try not to watch though. They get kind of freaky. Oh my god. I think this is a great character concept and really fit the Pokemon theme, especially if you've played and done the Pokemon breeding. You know what I'm looking forward to? Chocobo breeding, because that new Final Fantasy VII remake's coming out in a couple days.
Woo!
So give me a gold chocobo. Actually, I don't know that that's true because I think it ends at the end of the city, so maybe not. Damn. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll see.
great monster character concept there, Ian, the monster breeder. our monster variant of the podcast is the Hypnotist. I totally stole this from not only the Gengar, but the Hypno and all the other things. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to start with the Origin the Wraith. The Hypnotist is a master of illusion and manipulation. His ability to toss enemies into deep slumber with his pendulum and then leap into their dreams to torture them is a nightmare for anyone. The Hypnotist is able to siphon off the life force of their victim to extend their own life. Now,
That's metal.
yeah, I know,
I
right?
like it. I
so,
like it.
so the first thing you got to make some changes to the Wraith. You have to remove the incorporeal movement, sunlight sensitivity, and create Spectre. Do not leave it with create Spectre, or its challenge rating will be much higher than it should be. The new features you're going to give it is Nightmare. A creature under the effects of the hypnotic pendulum has disadvantage on saving throws against the hypnotist life drain effect. Now, the Wraith comes with the life drain effect, automatically healing itself. Having an ability that imposes disadvantage on the save significantly increases the chance that it will succeed. This is where it gets a little stronger because it's constantly going to be regaining health more frequently than it would have otherwise. Now, the hypnotic pendulum. It basically, the pendulum creates dancing and twisting patterns of shapes and colors throughout the air inside of a 30-foot cone, and each creature in the area who sees the pendulum pattern must make a wisdom saving throw or become charmed for 1 minute. While charmed by this creature, it is incapacitated with a speed of 0. Any damage to the creature, or if somebody else tries to shake it awake, ends that out of its stupor. So basically, this thing can, if everyone in your party failed, essentially knock you all to the point where you're being manipulated by this creature.
For a minute. But yeah, a minute's long enough.
Yeah, it is. And it'll give, because adding this to a creature when it's designed to go up against a group, against one person, and they keep hitting that person with life drain, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So
Yep.
it'll be very challenging. It is hard. Like I said, if you don't take away the Create Spectre, it becomes way out of its CR rating. So, what do you guys think about this?
That's neat. It's metal. I like it. It's just this really brutal monster creature person where it just kind of just like, I'm going to put you to sleep. What about, well, you're not really being put to sleep. You're kind of being all charmed. Then I'm just going to drain the actual life force out of you till you just disappear.
Yeah, it's pretty savage. And once again, this comes back to I was thinking about Gengar and Hypno's ability, and then Friday the 13th came into mind. I'm like, oh my god, how have I not made a monster that does that yet? So
Right.
there you go. Do you have any thoughts on this, Ian?
Still in keeping with theme with our Pokemon, since you basically made your own variant to Hypno, so and this thing would be a complete other pain to go up against.
Yep.
It's like gothic Hypno.
Yeah.
And as I warn people ahead, if you want to be creeped out, look up the Hypno's lullaby video on YouTube.
Oh my god. Did you see the what the Pokedex thing said about the Hypno? Like I'm
Yep,
pretty sure it says something about making kids disappear or something.
that's actually, and the Hypno's lullaby video doubles down on that.
Oh man. Disturbing.
And
Um all right. That'll do it for our monster variant. Austin, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Sure. Our encounter of the podcast is Gotta Catch 'Em All. I wonder where that came from. Please don't demonetize us. A,
oh, that
a
should
traveling. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
that should have still once you mentioned the coronavirus.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Oh well. A traveling circus troupe has recently been attacked by an orc raid, sorry, during their travels. During the attack, several of the troupe's main attractions were killed. The ringmaster has requested that the characters search out a collection of monsters to help refill his show. As a DM, you can choose these monsters for yourself. A few we recommend: an elephant, flying sword, dryad, elemental, and a werebear if you're brave enough, a lion. The real challenge comes to when the characters are tasked when capturing the creatures who are sentient.
Like
They are
Weber.
essentially, yeah, they are essentially hunting to enslave. by keeping the phrasing as beasts and monsters, the characters are less likely to think of it as, less likely to think of it as servitude and enslavement. But you can use this as an opportunity to show that they have personality. He offers a special flute that indicates when they are weak. If you play it, it will put them to sleep, making them easier to capture. I like that. The flute can cast the sleep spell 1d4 times a day. So really cool. I like that.
Actually, for that, I'm not sure a dryad can actually leave a certain amount of distance from her tree on top of that too without dying. So
You take the whole tree then, buddy.
You just
Maybe that's one of the challenges.
touch tree down kills it.
What? Really?
No.
I didn't know that.
Or at least they do mythology. So
No. Wow. Anywho,
I'm not gonna know that.
this concept is very interesting because growing up, I had never really considered the catching a Pokemon a big deal. But if you really think about it, you're basically catching creatures who are intelligent enough to understand human speech, making them sentient, and you are forcing them to serve you by and framing it as you want to be the very best and you're going to be my friend.
Also, can we mention that you beat the snot out of them before you enslaved them to
Yeah.
you? Like, that's brutal.
to near death, actually.
Yeah.
And so I combined this with an idea that Ian had sent through when we were discussing this. And I thought the idea was intriguing because if you start with the hunt with something easy, like, hey, there's a few things I need. Why don't you go get this for me and start with an elephant? And they're not going to think none of it because it's a beast of burden, right?
Yep.
But you get a flying sword. Oh, that's just something imbued with magic. That's not a big deal. And then you continue to pick more monsters that are more and more sentient until you're hunting a werebear, which is essentially a person.
Yep.
What do you guys think about this?
I love moral ambiguity.
Ah,
It's great.
me too.
A lot of layers to this, no question.
Yeah. And hopefully that is something your players struggle with, because that's the goal, is to make this something that they struggle with. Now, some characters probably won't give two flips about it. But if they're truly heroes, eventually, as they've been doing this, it should become a problem. So then who is the villain? Is it the guy who asked you to capture him, or you who's actually doing the beating and enslaving?
Or is it the orcs who caused the problem in the first place? But then again, now you're back to this weird question of, is the traveling circus troupe really all it's meant to be when they're enslaving things? Or, maybe you should just outroot that problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
That's the point.
So does the dryad in D&D die when you cut down her tree?
Not in 5th edition, anyway.
Okay. I'd say you can cut it out just like you're transplanting it, right?
Just move it to the circus.
We're just giving you a better view. Anyways, I think that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast. Gotta catch 'em all. Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item?
The Vial of Stun Spore. Wondrous item, rare.
Oh, no, it doesn't. That's a typo because I copied and pasted. Sorry.
You're like, really?
Yeah, on-use items don't usually require attunement.
Hence the really. It's like, what? A vial? Anyway, effect Spore. This vial is filled with tiny purple and black spores. As an action, you can pour the vial of spores onto a piece of armor. For the next hour, the first time a creature hits you with a melee attack, they must make a DC 15 con save, or be paralyzed for a minute. The creature can repeat a saving throw at the end of its turn to end the effect. Once a creature has successfully saved against the effect, it is immune for 24 hours.
That's great.
This is totally a Pokemon ability in a jar.
Yep.
Stun Spore, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I took it from Butterfree or from Vileplume, but I love the idea of taking out a magical dust, putting it on your armor, and then when somebody attacked you, it knocking it free and poisoning them, and in this case, paralyzing them.
Because
Yep.
what do you do? Did you kill him? No, he's just paralyzed for like a minute. We should go.
What should we do with him? What do you guys think about this?
You'll be fine. I like the fact that it's used defensively. I don't know why. Something about that, it feels correct to me. Like it's meant to be this defensive option rather than like, I'm literally just throwing this vial, I hope it explodes in your face and now you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
So That's
Yeah.
cool. I like it.
I also thought it would be really cool for somebody who is prone to sneaking around, putting it on their armor, and if they get caught and they get surprised and somebody tries to stab them, it stuns them, giving them time to get the hell out or take their head off.
You know, I
So
like how it's filled with like tiny purple and black spores. So like if they are sneaking around, they have this like weird camo anyway in darkness.
uh,
His armor looks really weird, man.
Steve's asking if this is an area effect if you're hit.
no, it is just when the next time a creature hits you with a melee attack, they must, and that's it. It's one time used. I
For an
think.
hour.
Yeah, and it lasts for an hour. So this is something you would probably put on advance before going into either a boss fight or going into an enemy's lair or something
Mm.
like that.
My one concern, I guess, because it is a consumable,
Yes.
is that if it hits you with the melee attack, even if they succeed on the saving throw, you still lose the effect and you gain nothing. For a rare item, that seems kind of steep.
Being
to me.
paralyzed is pretty harsh though.
That's
a
true.
severe penalty.
Yeah.
Because a paralyzed creature, any melee attack is an auto crit, if I'm not mistaken, or is it with advantage? I forget.
Something nasty.
Yeah,
Something like that, yeah. So I mean, I guess.
Because
yeah.
honestly, that is something I had originally considered, and because I've already altered it a little bit from what was in like the Pokemon Pokedex, but that was something that I had considered too. I was like, you know what, paralyzation is such a powerful debuff that I think that is acceptable, and it's a
Yeah.
relatively high Constitution too. At 15, that's not exactly an
Yeah,
easy
that's
DC to
not-
make.
yeah.
So,
I'm okay with it. Yeah. Now that we kind of like talked it out and I saw the reasoning behind it, that makes sense to me.
yeah,
Okay.
and like I said, maybe it's more of an uncommon item. But either way, it might ride that line. That'll do it for our magic item, the Vial of Stun Spore. Our Dungeon Master tip of the podcast is, oops, I killed them all. This comes from Chance Gift on Facebook. Here are some alternative ideas when a TPK goes down, but you still want your party of adventurers to continue. Now, I'll be honest. I have killed my players more than once. It happens sometimes.
Happened recently.
Yeah, it did actually.
Semi-recently. I
Yeah.
killed everybody, but
Well, that was then
killed.
they were doing the Dark Tides of Damodan thing,
Yeah,
and he got caught up to him, and
Champion Fire being enthralled is far
bad
worse than
thing.
anything else.
Yes. So it was interesting, but here are some options that Chance says will help you if you want. If you either maybe it was a mistake or you feel bad or whatever. Pause the session. Next time the team gets together, have them make new characters for a one shot. Without knowing it, run an adventure that ends either with those characters they're playing as saving the heroes in their weekly game from a TPK, or doing something that affects the session that they're in that takes it away from being
That
a
would
TPK.
be really interesting. I would
Save
like
yourselves. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
very, very cool.
That'd be so cool because you're imagining already as the player standpoint.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, these guys are dead. That fucking blows. And without knowing, like you might realize you're going like towards these similar sounding areas. Maybe the DM intentionally doesn't mention a name or anything, right? And you're just kind of there, and you just see these people fighting this, big bad evil guy, and you're like, oh my god, that's them! We gotta save them.
I was actually you mentioned the adventure you guys just had with the TPK. I can totally imagine giving you guys some sailor characters and having you be the sailors that were on that ship that you were on. Dive in as an anchor carries them down to where you're at to help lift up the captives and bring down potions to administer to you guys to help continue the fight or something along those lines. But
would have been interesting for sure.
Yeah, but since we were only testing something, and
I agree.
Yeah, I ran that very aggressively, but you failed a lot of saves. So
I failed a lot of saves. It wasn't necessarily my tip; it was me.
Chance's second point is let them die. only to start the next session as a group of clerics, resurrecting them in the future. Maybe 100 years later, the big bad enemy guy might have had huge progress, and now things are way worse off than they were before, but they are still their only hope. That's why the Resistance or a secret order has brought them back for one last attempt with all of their resources on the line.
We are your only hope? Oh man, you guys are so screwed.
There really wasn't anyone else. You guys chose us, the bastards who died to this game.
We
Man, you
already
guys are
failed, yeah.
rough. You guys are in rough shape. What year is it?
Come out like Robin Williams in Jumanji with the big giant scruffy beard. What year is it?
Oh man,
what do
that
you
would
guys
be
think
fun
about
too,
this
though?
stuff?
I would love something like that. So I imagine, like, again, if I'm playing Zorax, sorry, Ian, I'm kind of just taking this by storm.
No,
But so say I'm like playing Zorax. Obviously, I love Zorax. I would hate for him to kind of go. I'm sure you kind of like him too, because this dumb bastard just held the devil shield for like 3 times straight, and you're just kind of like, this guy's gonna fucking die at some point. But I would love just to be like, it'd be really sad for me to just kind of see him go because he was a fun character. But I would love the idea that he kind of just gets brought back for the second chance, and you like playing that character, he would take that second chance to such an extreme. Like he would be like, not only am I going to kill this guy, but I'm going to change everything from that point. It'd be super fun. It'd be a lot of interesting character development too. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree 100%. What do you think, Ian?
let me get this straight. We were dead, and then we were in the afterlife. I was in heaven, and then you ripped me out of there to come back to here?
Oh, that would be so funny. Could you imagine?
Somebody's pissed off that he got brought back. Did you have any idea what I had up there?
Zorax is like, you brought me back from my job to do this shit?
Although technically, I believe you have to. Although I believe in most resurrection spells, if they're trying to revive you, you can choose to not come back. So, and I guess that might be the train of thought why.
Right.
Although,
Alternatively, they could have used a wish spell. You don't get that option, maybe.
or flip it around. They're pulling up hell. Oh, thank you so much for taking me out of there. You don't know what that was like.
Yeah, I
They
regret
become
being an evil
devout.
guy.
They go to the 9 hells and they end up becoming devout and like start multi-classing into cleric and like, please don't let me go back there.
I'll change. I'll change
I
everything.
could be
I'm
a
so
bad
sorry.
person.
Or they have hardcore PTSD.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I met Zariel face to face. I ain't doing it again. I'll do anything else. Super fun. Dude, you could
Yes.
do so much with this.
I agree. This is
I
a
like
very
this
good
idea.
Dungeon Master tip.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip. Oops, I killed them all.
And like it happens, right? Inevitably, you're gonna be like, "Oh shit, I really fucking killed them all." Like, oops. Well, you know.
Our player tip of the podcast is don't be a
Don't
Be
dick.
a dick. Well, you know, we can only get so close to
We
it.
tried.
Yeah.
Our player tip, and you can avoid dickitude by focusing on those arcane studies. My personal favorite is the Ash Prison. So, in order to make the Ash Prison work, you need a combination of spells, either 2 spellcasters or a single one over 2 rounds, which is a little harder without somebody keeping them there, but hey, you never know.
And
So
you got a fighter that's coming in. He's gonna bear hug me like, do it.
so the first thing is you cast Wall of Fire on your enemies, and then you surround them with a wall of fire or wall of force and encase them so they can't escape the fire, locking them in with the flames and turning them into a barbecue for up to a minute. Escape is nearly impossible as the wall is immune to most damage. Spells such as Disintegrate and Dispel are really only probably the only a couple of the few ways that you could actually break this combo. Now, obviously, this would be easier with 2 spellcasters, either 2 wizards or a source wizard or whatever, and
Right.
one person readying their wall of force after Wall of Fire is cast. So as soon as Wall of Fire goes up, boom, Wall of Force encases them and they can't escape. Now, if you're by yourself, you might have a little more trouble with that because it's possible they can get out unless somebody's willing to grapple and keep them in there, or maybe they don't move. So,
Unless your barbarian's an absolute badass and is just like, oh, I've got to do it, guys.
you can if they're that magical one where they get the resistance to one element.
One of the totem ones, I
Yeah.
think, right? Yeah.
I don't remember which one it is. You get like the desert shit, which
Oh yeah,
barbarian was that?
the Storm Herald one, I think is what it's called.
Maybe that was it. That sounds familiar. But
Think so.
basically, one of them's like the desert, and I think it makes them resistant to fire. Or if you've got a tiefling buddy who's willing to grapple some bitches and just let them burn, he'd be like, it was back like my good old times back in hell. Rah!
He's like reminiscing, like, oh, this sounds fucking cool. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'll be in there.
Steve's like, that's diabolically brilliant.
I love it. That's brutal shit right there. I love it.
He says, I hope my players don't get that smart.
Yeah.
Ian, what do you think, buddy?
I actually used Wall of Fire the other day, so I'm down with this.
Yeah, I would love this just because I want to imagine the fact that, like, yeah, there's only one spellcaster on your team, which I mean is possible, right? Sometimes
Right.
you only get like that one spellcaster on your team. And this would be like he's trying to conjure this idea, like, I don't really know how to make it work. Well, if you got this, the rest aren't spellcasters, so somehow they're going to be able to make it work, right? You got this, like, you got the paladin, the fighter, and the barbarian grappling all of them. You're like, hey, bring fire. We burn all of them. Ow.
I love it.
I like it too. It's great.
Yep.
I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick.
Oh yeah,
Nice try.
it's already badasses, so is it really?
Please join us on our next episode where we'll be discussing Dungeons and Dragons Forgotten Realms locations that deserve to be visited. By you, by Wizard, by everyone. They're just good.
Okay.
Austin?
Exciting. Okay. If you have any feedback, other tips and tricks, or topics you would like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook at Critacademy.
We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a hopefully 5-star review on iTunes, or just send us a message telling us how much you enjoy the show. Also, be sure to give us a like and a share.
Yes, make sure to subscribe to our show at critacademy.com. Follow us on twitch.tv/critacademy. And subscribe to us on YouTube so we can help you on your future adventures, as well as be entered to win cool prizes each and every single week. Also, make sure to check out our awesome fellowship members. If you have not checked out Inter-Party Conflict, Gabe and Jeff do a wonderful job answering your questions. Also, check out the Brute Force and Ignorance Actual Play podcast. Those guys are hilarious and fun. Also, head on over and follow the Kind GM on Twitter. That guy also has fantastic content for you to share in his blog. So, one last call to action. As a reminder, our my mind just went blank. That's lovely. Our Dark Tides of Damodan releases on April 15th. Please check it out. Hopefully it'll become another bestseller just like all the rest of our products.
It is seriously really fun. Like, I know, like I said, we all fucking died, and you know what? I had a great time until, to the bitter end. I was in for the ride.
Yeah, and you perfectly played your enslavement well. Good job.
I dude, it's fun being the bad guy for a reason.
That being said, I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Austin. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes. Let's all wave goodbye.
See you guys.